What's up, everybody? How we doing? Matt Modi here with OddsJam. Recording this the night before the conference championship games. Let's bet some player props, specifically looking at anytime touchdown score bets using the OddsJam screen. The OddsJam screen, really awesome tool. All you need to do is just pick a market, in this case, anytime touchdown score, and it pulls up odds from every major sports book and where they price this anytime touchdown score prop at. And you can use that to essentially use the sports books against each other and find value across the entire betting landscape. So basically, for anytime touchdown scores, we're looking for books. We're looking for discrepancies on players that we find good touchdown value bets on. So we can get right into it. The first play that I'm going to lock in here, I got one play for each team that I think is really good. And it's the literal first name we see on the list. A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown score, plus 170 odds at FanDuel. Number one, look at the value here. Again, plus 170 on FanDuel. Look at the rest of the markets and where they price it. So Fox Bet is 10 cents lower at plus 160. Betfred is 15 cents lower at plus 155, but look at every other book. Plus 120, plus 135, plus 118, plus 120, plus 130, plus 118. Really, really good price here. All the way up at plus 170 on A.J. Brown to score. So I locked this in. I put 3/4 of a unit on it. A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown score. I think this one is really, really good. My logic, two reasons why, aside from the value. The value is obviously the most important part. Digging a little bit deeper, there are two reasons why I love A.J. Brown to score in this game. Number one, the 49ers defense is obviously incredible. Number one defense in DVOA for a reason. The one area in which they can be had is plays down the field. They are weak at one of the cornerback spots, Lenore. Their safeties aren't necessarily good in coverage. Hufanga, absolute stud. He's better being aggressive and almost diagnosing plays, screenplays, stuff like that. We all remember the Monday Night Football game where he took a screen to the house. But you can use that aggression against him. And I think A.J. Brown is going to have success being getting as a deep threat in this game. Another reason why I like it, I'm sure everybody watching this, at least it made a lot of rounds in the Philly media, but A.J. Brown was seen being consoled on the bench by head coach Nick Sirianni in the playoff game last week against the Giants. Now, at that point in time, the Eagles were up by 24, and Jalen Hurts had just missed Brown on a deep touchdown. So Brown clearly frustrated in the game. He only had 3 receptions for 22 yards. It's the lowest, I believe the lowest yardage total in the season, or second lowest, and tied with the second or lowest reception total on the entire season. After the game, Nick Sirianni came out and he said that he loves wide receivers that want the ball and that there's no worry about A.J. Brown being like a diva or anything like that. But I do think that he is going to be targeted early and often in this game. If sportsbooks had, will A.J. Brown get a reception on the first Eagles drive of the game? If they had that prop bet, I would bet it. I think that when the Eagles get into the red zone, they're very creative. A.J. Brown had 11 touchdowns on the season. I think that they're going to make sure to get A.J. Brown the ball early and often, and also in the red zone. So the fact that we can get plus 170 odds, which is a clear outlier compared to every other book, I think that's really good. So that's my play for the Eagles. So for the 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, he's going to play. The calf injury makes me nervous. If it's just a contusion, that makes me less nervous. If it's an actual calf strain, that's a little bit concerning. I wanted to see it. Maybe his backup, Elijah Mitchell, could get some value, but then he's also hurt and questionable with a knee injury. So the player that I found the best value on, I actually really like the value on George Kittle to score. He's at plus 220 odds at Bet365. And look at every other book, right? Plus 220 at Bet365. The closest book is 30 cents lower at plus 190. For the same exact play, we're getting a full 30 cents lower. And that's the closest one. Then we see plus 185, plus 175, plus 160, plus 165. Really, really good price here at plus 220. So I locked this one in. As you can see right here, George Kittle, anytime a touchdown score, bet $75 on this one is just what I put on these player props. I pretty much, the way I have my unit sizing figured out is basically 3/4 of a unit, on player props. So in terms of the football reasons, the 49ers love going down the middle of the field, and that's where the Eagles defense is weakest. They have really, really good cornerbacks. Their safeties, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is getting more of the slot snaps. He's not as good as a deep safety. He's kind of similar to Hufanga and being like a run stuffer, and he's really good in the slot. And then Marcus Epps is his first year starting, kind of a journeyman, has had a decent season. But regardless, the Eagles are weak in the middle of the field. Their linebackers are their weakest part of their defense. The middle of the field is where the 49ers love to go, and part of that is with George Kittle. Now, he hasn't scored yet in the playoffs, but prior to that, he had 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games with Brock Purdy. Now, obviously, everybody remembers Kittle not necessarily saving. I don't think he saved the game for the 49ers, but he had that insane catch down the middle where he was tipping it to himself. So I think Kittle is going to be a huge part of the 49ers game plan. I think it doesn't take a genius to identify that the Eagles are weak at the linebacker spot, and that Kittle is a perfect player to take advantage of that, especially if they are banged up at the running back position and McCaffrey can't play his full complement of snaps. Even Elijah Mitchell is banged up behind him. So the fact that we can get 220 odds, double your money if it hits, really, really good value. So he is my play for the 49ers. Next game, we are looking at, obviously, the Bengals versus Chiefs. Now, I really liked Travis Kelce to score. I'm a little bit nervous on that because he injured his back in practice and is currently listed as questionable. That happened, depending on when you're watching this, I think it happened on yesterday. It's a huge deal, even if he's banged up, especially a back injury isn't something that you want to mess with. So initially, I really liked the value on Travis Kelce. Now I'm a little bit nervous about it. The player that I like for the Chiefs, and this is going to be Isaiah Pacheco at plus 165. So I locked this in at Caesars, Isaiah Pacheco to score. He is, as the odds update. So Isaiah Pacheco, if I go back to him, so plus 165, the closest book, 15 cents lower at plus 150. And then we see plus 145, plus 130, stuff like that. So again, we're getting a really good value at plus 165 on him to score. And I went back and I watched the last time these two teams played each other this year. And I was actually surprised at how good, I guess I didn't remember this from when I watched it live, how successful the Chiefs were running the ball, specifically with Pacheco. McKinnon was part of that as well, but in terms of rushing, it was mostly Pacheco. And I think with Mahomes being banged up, with Travis Kelce being banged up, I think that they're going to try to lean as much as possible on the ground game. So I do a lot of prop bets I like for Pacheco as well, like rushing attempts, rushing yards, I think has a lot of value, but obviously we're talking about anytime touchdown scores in this one. And I do think it's, again, really, really good value. I think they're going to lean on the run game. I think at plus 165 odds, if you just compare that to the rest of the sports books, it's pretty good value. So that is going to be my player for the Chiefs. For the Bengals, initially, I was in on Joe Mixon. I've actually changed that, and now I am leaning towards Jamar Chase for my anytime touchdown score bet, mostly just because of the value here. Jamar Chase is at plus 105 odds at Bet365, so another one that I locked in, as you can see here on Bet365, Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown score. The closer that these numbers get to basically even money, the bigger the gap between them, the bigger the value the gap between them becomes. And for this one, for Jamar Chase, no book is offering him at above plus money. Bet365 is the only one. Now, FanDuel is kind of close at plus 100. The rest of the sports books, we see minus 105, we see minus 110. And, Jamar Chase, I don't have a ton to say about him that people don't already know. He's had an incredible year. He missed 4 games in the middle of the season. When he came back, he's had double-digit targets in majority of the games he scored. Both playoff games this year for the Bengals. It's a matchup nightmare. The Bengals do a great job getting him the ball. I think that getting plus money on Jamar Chase to score represents awesome value. So that's going to be it for anytime touchdown score bets for you guys to lock in, 4 that I have already locked in myself. If you guys are tailing these 4, comment and let me know. Other than that, would appreciate a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then if you want to find me on social media, you can at my Twitter handle you see here, Jedi Modi. And that's it. So appreciate everybody watching and have a good one.